Molecular gastronomy is basically changing forms or cooking in chemicals in a different method. We're going to be doing spheres today. We'll be doing two types. We're going to do pearls and pasta, less ravioli, basically. So we're spinning a liquid in a liquid. It's kind of like making water when it's edible. So we're going to measure, we're going to use two chemicals. It's going to be sodium alginate and calcium chloride, which are basically seaweed extracts with salt. 3 grams of calcium chloride. And we're going to use 1 gram to 30 ounces of apple juice. You want to do this the day before usually, because unless you have a vacuum sealer, which you can take the air out that way, but if you let it sit for 24 hours, the air works right off. You always want to use a stick blender because this is the only way to really make the alginate rehydrate in the liquid that you're using. It's kind of working here. Sit for a minute. Then we're going to use let's do the water. We're going to let that sit and rehydrate. But while we're waiting on that, we're actually going to go through the principle of making caviar. Same mixture, grapefruit juice. We're going to take it, put it in our well. We're going to take our calcium liquid. And it's a bath. So basically this is what makes the outer skin of the liquid. Then we have to go into a water bath after that because if anybody's ever tasted calcium, it's awful. This is a droplet box. You can do 50 to 100 at once instead of sitting there with a syringe and going drop, 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 drop. So we're going to take this. If this works. We're going to suck out the liquid into the little droppers. We're going to put it over our calcium bath and drop our liquid into our bath. We're going to let it sit in here or cook for about a minute to 2 minutes, depending on how thick your solution is. Move it around, make sure none of the cords are sticking together. Take a slotted spoon, pull it out for our liquid, put it into our water bath. The starter for caviar.
How far in advance can you do that?
This is pretty much 5-10 minutes, depending on the size. This will continue to cook or cure, so it will become solidified after 5 to 10 minutes that size. The larger ones will sit 30 minutes or so. So this is an actual working station in a lot of restaurants. Now that we've let our sodium alginate kind of rehydrate in our liquid, we're going to strain it. And then we can also make orbs out of this, out of the strain. This is for our bath. That's pretty much it. Whole process.
That's it?
It's not hard. It really isn't.
If I could, for those of you that don't know, Josh Slaughter is a graduate from our program. Josh most recently just came back as the executive chef for McCarthy Resort in Alaska. And he's worked in New York, California, Bouchon. Worked at Bouchon's in California. And his next stop is Seattle. You want to share just a little bit of some of your experiences and any recommendations that you might have for students that are looking at finishing their program and heading out?
The depends on what you want to do, of course. If you want to get into molecular stuff, 4 or 5 restaurants around the world. New York has a lot of places that do it. Chicago, really big in molecular, this kind of stuff. If you want to go privately owned restaurants, Thomas, Bouchon, pretty much you can't get better than him. The hotels, resorts are everywhere. You can kind of stay there if you like that. It depends on what you want to do, honestly.
If I can ask you a question, what motivated you, when you finished the program at Jeff State, what motivated you to move out of the city of Birmingham?
I'd pretty much worked everywhere here. I'd been working for 10 years in Birmingham, and I pretty much made my rounds with the restaurants, and I had to find a different type of cuisine. I'm really into sustainable, organic. We grow about 30% of our protein and our produce within 100 miles of the restaurant. We actually have pigs that are grown on a farm 80 miles away, shipped 200 miles away to get slaughtered at FDA-approved slaughterhouse, brought back to my restaurant, and we make everything from hamburgers to sausage to buns. I mean, we try to pasta. We try to grow the greens at our house. We have a greenhouse that's about half a football field size, and we try to do everything there. And that's one of the reasons I'm going to Seattle. They're very into sustainable. They're very into organic and local.
Does anyone have any questions to ask?
How does that affect your food costs and labor costs when you've got so much hands-on on your property?
Food and labor costs, you have to throw that in, but you just adjust your pricing accordingly, because I believe that it's important that we get back to local. It really is. These genetically altered plants that are being planted it's taking away from what food is supposed to be, because you can just go to a lab and invent something new, and it's, hey, you can spray Roundup on it and it doesn't die. That's not what it's supposed to be. Food is about nourishing your body and enjoying time with someone else. When you get that into your mindset and set up your restaurant accordingly, that's what you're about, so you just set your food costs up accordingly. It doesn't really matter how much it costs, you just adjust your pricing.
And we're seeing from research with the allergies, and of course we know the concerns with obesity and heart disease and diabetes. A lot of it has to do with our food.
Genetically altered stuff is, yeah.